Yeah. Namo Sakamuna Buddha, Namo Sakamuna Buddha, Namo Sakamuna Buddha.
Thank you. Yeah, let me share the screen here. Yeah, go ahead, please. Thân Thiện, right here.
Yeah, Mafak Thai. At that time, the world only one, wishing to state his meaning once more, spoke in verse form, saying, the faculties of this person's tongue will be so pure so that he will never experience any bad tastes. But all that he eat will become like sweet dew. With his deep, pure, and wonderful voice, he will preach the law in the great assembly, employing causes, conditions, and scenarios to lead and guide the minds of the living beings. All who hear will rejoice and offer him the finest alms. Heavenly being, dragons, Yaksa, as well as Asuras, and others will all approach him with reverent minds, and together come to hear the law. If this preacher of the law wishes to use his wonderful voice to fill the 3,000 word, he can do so at will. Will turn king, great and small, and 3,000 sun and Ratini will press the palm together with reverent minds and constantly come to hear and accept the law. Heavenly beings, dragons, Yaksa, Rakshasa, and his tasas, likewise with rejoicing minds, will constantly delight in coming to bring alms. Yeah, I think whenever this person practice this sutra, he so whenever he eat, he will not have any experience in any bad taste. Whatever he eat will become like sweet dew. And whenever he preach the law, his voice will be deep, pure, and wonderful. And he be able to help all the living beings to follow the way. So whoever hear him preach this law, they will offer him the finest alms. So all these living beings, like heavenly beings, dragon, Jasa, and others, will come to him and pay respect to him and to hear his law. So he will use this voice to fill the 3,000 word. So even the great beings such as the wheel turning kings and other and his follower will come and pay respect to him whenever he preach this law. So all these living beings will come pay respect to him. I don't know what pistastas mean.
Yeah. That's one of the beings. Yeah, one of the beings, one of the heavenly beings. Yeah, so when we recite this mantra or sutra sincerely, right, we send out the good preparation, and that's why the visible beings and invisible beings will come and protect us. Mm. Uh, when I first went to Houston, 2015, and within a year, the largest Vietnamese Buddhist center in Houston, the temple name is Vietnamese Vietnam Temple. was collapsed. The roof was collapsed. What happened is collapse at midnight, around 1 a.m. So no one's hurt. But if it collapsed in the day, probably someone will get hurt. So for normal people, it's incredible, this coincidence. But in spiritual tradition, it's not coincidence. William, you recognize that, right? It's somehow Buddhist center has some type of spiritual protection, right? You feel that?
Yeah, I think so. Without just believing it for the sake of believing it, but it does seem like there are these invisible forces at play and kind of inexplicable things that happen. Granted, that example, it would be pretty easy for someone to argue for coincidence. So not absolute proof, but it's still suggestive that it's the most favorable time it could have happened if it was going to.
So tell me, since we put five satsu in the front, you think it's too many, or that's okay for in general for the local people, local communities, since we live around with non-Buddhist people? How you feel that?
I don't feel like it's too much. It seems nice to me. I don't know about everybody else. Now the temple down the street from me, they seem to they have a whole lot. Like you drive by and it seems like it. But I do like it going there, especially in the back where they have them in the back, because it's so nice and calm and peaceful. Nobody's around. But yeah, the way you all have them lined up, it's going to be really nice to be able just to kind of sit out there. I think it's going to be really, really good.
Because of that, few years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, when it was in Houston. So one day I got a phone call from people here and asked whether our temple is okay or not, because there's a news. There's some young gentlemen, they smashed the Buddha statue at that temple, the temple that you told about. You don't know about that? They smashed some of them, and they wrote.
You mentioned before that they had marked them, tagged them, but I didn't know they smashed some too. They smashed some?
Yeah, they did.
Oh wow, that's not going to be good for them.
And even they spray on the side too. Yeah, and with the big news a few years ago, that big news, and of course I appreciate that and many Christian leaders around the town, they support us and they condemn that type of harmful act. Yeah, that's why I concerned when they put five statue in the front. Hopefully, it won't be offended for them. Yeah.
My guess is the people who did that weren't offended. They're probably just doing that. Like before I got into Buddhism, I was kind of cynical and was hanging out with a couple kids who like weren't a great influence, and together we just kind of encouraged each other in bad activities. And when we went and vandalized stuff, rarely was it personal. Sometimes it was personal, sometimes it was just for a thrill. It was just because of whatever. It wasn't, so I don't think that would be offensive to them and cause them to do. They might just want to do something like that, would be my guess. I don't think it would be like someone who's Christian and do that, or
yeah, most of the time the young people, right? Yeah, they try to be famous or whichever, or just try to vandalize in the way that they like. Of course, for mature people, they would not. Yeah, they would not.
They used to do that downtown all the time when I worked downtown. They tagged the buildings all the time. They'd always go through and spray paint stuff. Like William said, they weren't doing it because they were mad at any particular company. They just did it to do it. No reason at all. Just they think it's fun.
Yeah, right after the COVID, right? Some demonstrations, some protests out there, right? They smash some store and so forth, right?
Yeah, but this was even before the protests and stuff. They just always would tag stuff. That's just what they do. They just run around at nighttime and spray paint stuff. I don't know why. They just do it.
Cô Thông Nguyễn, in Netherlands, they have this kind of problems as still rare.
Yes, there are people who spray on the train and everywhere, but it's not like for the religion's objects. No. In this group, people exist, and every year they spend a lot of money to clean the outside of the train because these people spray the train at night.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I keep to ask my neighbors, is that okay with you to have this kind of statue in the front, and hopefully they enjoy it. And we have some space, right, from the gate to the statue. Have some space to compare with the other temples. It's pretty close to the street. It's easier for them to spray, to vandalize. But we have some space there. Hopefully they would not. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on then. That's why for Buddhists, you know, actually we have 18 more in cordon, what we don't dare to print out yet. William, you know, right? The 18 arhat up there, right, on the hill.
It's been a little while since I've been there, so I can't recall it to mind. I recall seeing the statues, but I can't see them with detail.
And actually, one of my neighbors, couples, they may not like to have many statues. They admire us in that way. That's why I have to be careful about their sentiment. Yeah, so that we can get built.
One possibility, if anyone got too upset, is you can get those emerald arborvitae. These trees, they'll grow like 20-30 feet high, and they'll grow in hedges. So they're like, you know, probably about 3 to 4 feet wide, and you can put them next to each other, and it can obscure it from like the road. But then as soon as someone pulled in the driveway, they could see them if anyone got too upset about it.
Yeah, we plan to put those kind of trees in the future when we sell that with our park. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your suggestion. All right, let's us move on then. Yeah, Cô Thông Nguyễn, please, you can finish all.
Yes, thưa thầy. Moreover, constant.
Heavenly kings.
Yes, the heavenly king Brahma, the devil king, the deity freedom and great freedom, all the multitude of heavenly beings will constantly come to where he is. The Buddha and their disciples, hearing the sounds of him teaching the law, will keep him constantly in their thoughts and guard him, and at times show themselves for his sake. Moreover, constant exertions, if good men or good women accept and uphold this sutra, if they read it, recite it, explain and preach it, or transcribe it, they will gain 800 body benefits. They will acquire pure bodies like pure lapis lazuli, such as giving being delight to see. Because of the purity of their bodies, when the living beings of the thousands, millions-fold world are born or die, when they are born in upper or lower regions, in fair or earthly circumstance, in good place or bad, they will all be reflected in these bodies. The mountain king of iron and cycling mountains, the great iron and cycling mountains, Mount Meru and Mahameru, as well as living being in their midst, will all be reflected therein, down to Avicii hell, upward to summit of being, all the regions and their living beings will be reflected therein. Voice hearer, Pratyeka Buddhas, Bodhisattva Buddhas preaching the law, the forms and shape of these will be reflected in their body. To summary, is again in this part, Lotus Sutra teaches us the benefits of reciting the Lotus Sutra, and they will gain 800 body benefits. And all the prayer Praitya Buddhas, Bodhisattva, and Buddha will protect and be there at the time when this being is born or die. This is what I understand today.
William, when you memorize the verses of this sutra, you feel some kind of spiritual protection? You feel that?
Yeah, I mean it's very, I mean it feels calming for the mind. My skin has not yet turned into lapis lazuli. I'm waiting though. No, just kidding. Yeah, I do feel something. I feel like a peacefulness and a kind of a subtle, gentle energy.
No, not only within the mind, but also the outside. You feel the environment. You have some kind of protection. You feel that?
Like feeling the space around me, or like actually having physical changes, like actually like it's hard to say. It's hard to say because I think the changes that happen in the space where I recite, those, you know, they take like actions that I take, and it's hard to say if it's flowing from the recitation of the sutra or if it's just a choice I'm making on my own.
Probably both, right?
Yeah, like I've accumulated some Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. My room has become more organized. Downstairs where I used to recite commonly, we got it all repainted and have kind of beautified it. So there may be some association.
Yeah. Tô Thông Nguyện, you feel strongly when you recite recite the sutra, you feel that?
Yes, I actually in these 2 weeks I'm not going to work. I'm staying home, but whenever I go out of my home, when I walk, I recite the Compassion Sutra. Also, I recite some sutra at home in Vietnamese, and I feel like I feel the lightness is yeah. And also every day ultimately at 3:30 I wake up and then in which I go to meditations, but the experience of meditation is that I don't feel the heaviness in my body like when I work or I don't recite the mantra or the sutra. But like William, I don't feel like lapis Lucy or Julie or like that or light. No.
Tay, there is one interesting thing that I've noticed as I think about it. The neighborhood I live in, when I was a kid, it used to be nice, and there was a mall nearby that was very nice, but has since fallen into disrepair, where in Indianapolis, it's known as kind of like a dangerous place to be. And I do, because I know these teachings, I think about that. I think about like if they're affecting the surroundings. And I'd had a feeling that I would tell this to people, like someone should buy the mall and fix it up. And then I had a feeling that like something was in action, something was happening. And just recently, a man with like a ton of money from Argentina, he's pledged to invest $200 million in the mall and the surrounding neighborhood around it. So it will really dramatically improve like the property values where I live and just uplift the whole region. Now, it's hard to make the conclusion that those two things are connected. I've had thoughts about it, the possibility of it, have it kind of like the energy of the sutra magnetizing that event, but I would feel like I would want that to be true too much. And so I'd have a strong bias to believe that. So I kind of just consider it as a possibility.
Well, it's it's all kind of combinations, right? That can come together with our partial thought, right? We can send out and to change the whole environment, whether that's our house or the community and so forth. So Thân Thiền, you feel that with chú Đại Bi, with the compassion mantra for your mom, she get better now, right?
Yeah, more Phật thầy. Yeah, I recite to the be and the mantra. I'm trying to keep it do it. So I just keep doing it to keep her be healthy. So we came back. So about a month ago, when she came back to see the doctor for the bone scan, and they found out that the bone that she had a gap, a small gap from her leg, and that is missing because the cancer ate away the bone. And then she came back from the bone scan, and they found out that her bone is here, and it's so she be able to walk again.
Wow, that's wonderful. It's happened. I think it's happened in any religion, right? What they call miracles, right? Not only Buddhist tradition, but any tradition, as long as we have the faith and believe in that. Yeah, you could feel that. Tell me, the aura on the front. You feel that? I like go back to the five statue I put up there. I get concerned. That's my concern to the neighbors. For us, it's great, but for them, the non-Buddhists, they may not be. Yeah.
But I think if they had any complaints, they probably would just call the authorities and have them knocking on your door. I don't think they've come damaging them. I think that's just the teenagers being teenagers. But I would think too that like churches and temples and stuff would probably be off. Like you're probably not allowed to mess with those. I wouldn't think. Like, has the church down the street ever been messed with? They have a lot of temples and stuff right outside, out front on Southside Drive, St. John Vianney. Have they ever had any problems there?
Probably not. No.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't have problems, I would think that you're probably not going to have any issues either, because that's more of a walk path and a lot of people around that area.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Do you like to read this one, please? Tell me, please.
Wants to show you something.
At that time, the world honored one, wishing to state his meaning, once more spoke in verse form, saying, if one upholds the Lotus Sutra, his body will be very pure, like pure lapis lazuli. Living beings will all delight to see it, and it will be like a pure, bright mirror in which forms and shapes are all reflected. The Bodhisattva in his pure body will see all that is in the world. He alone will see brightly what is not visible to others. Within the 3,000 worlds, all the mass of burgeoning creatures, heavenly and human beings, asuras, hell dwellers, spirits, beasts, their forms and shapes, in this way will all be reflected in his body. The palaces of the various heavens, upward to the summit of beings, the iron encircling mountains, the mountains Mura and Mahamura, the great seas and other waters, all will be reflected in his body. The Buddhas and voice hearers, Buddha, sons, and Bodhisattvas, whether alone or in the assembly preaching the law, all will be reflected. Though this person has not yet acquired the wonderful body of Dharma nature, free of outflows, because the purity of his ordinary body, all things will be reflected in it. Moreover, constant extortion, if good men or good women accept and uphold this sutra after the thus come one has entered extinction. If they read it, recite it, explain and preach it, or transcribe it, they will acquire 1,200 mind benefits. Because of purity of their mental faculties, when they hear no more than one verse or one phrase of the sutra, they will master immeasurable and boundless numbers of principles. And one having understood these principles, they will be able to expound and preach on the single phrase of a single verse for a month, for 4 months, or for a whole year. And the doctrines that they preach during that time will conform to the gist of the principles and will never be contrary to true reality.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Tammy. Oh, you want to finish? Oh, sorry. We finish. We have. Oh, that's okay. You can stop there. It's still allowed. Go ahead. Mm. Mm. You follow that, Tammy?
Somewhat. It just sounds like it's saying that the people that are able to uphold the sutras and read them, that they'll be able to no, not really. I'm not following it. Sorry.
Yeah, thầy giáo Pháp, could you help to summarize this, please?
Yeah, move of matter. Okay, in here that the one who uphold and beside this, and they will gain the body of crystal, and then basically they can be able to can you throw up a little bit? Okay. Okay, so they can be able to see all type of different living being in the three world, right? That means the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm, and all the they call the 3 billion world. From the highest in the heaven now all the way to the hell, they be able to see it all different type of the being body and all those things, and that's what they um, so they, even though they are not yet acquired the wonderful body of the Dhamma nature, that means the Dhammaya body, but they be able to have that power. And so that's why the one who uphold like this, they can be able to have the benefit of 800 body benefit for that thing. It's cannot be nothing can compare to that, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah, William, please. Oh, we cannot hear you. Sorry.
If they should expound some text of the secular world, or speak on matters of government, or those relating to wealth and livelihood, they will in all cases conform to the correct law. With regard to the living beings in the 6 realms of existence of 1,000 million-fold world, they will understand how the minds of those living beings work, how they move, what idle theories they entertain. Though although they have not yet acquired the wisdom of no outflows, the purity of their minds will be such that the thought of these persons, their calculations and surmises, and the words they speak will in all cases represent the law of the Buddha, never departing from the truth, and also conform with what was preached in the sutras of former Buddhas. At that time, the world-honored one, wishing to state his meaning once more, spoke in verse form, saying, "The minds of these persons will be pure, bright, keen, without stain, or to understand the superior, intermediate, and inferior law. Hearing no more than one verse, they will master immeasurable principles and be able to preach them step by step. All the living beings in the inner and outer parts of this world heavenly beings, dragons, humans, yakshas, spirits, those in the 6 realms of existence, and all the various thoughts they have. Upholders of Lotus as their reward will know all these in an instant. The countless Buddhas of the 10 directions, adorned with the marks of 100 blessings, for the sake of living beings, preach the law. And such persons hearing it will be able to accept and uphold it. They will ponder immeasurable principles, preach the law in an immeasurable number of ways, yet from start to finish never forget or make a mistake, because they are upholders of the Lotus Sutra. They will understand the characteristics of all phenomena, accord with principles, recognizing their proper order, be master of names and words, and expound and preach things as they understand them. What these persons preach in all cases of the law are former Buddhas, and because they expound this law, they have no fear before the assembly. So here in this whole paragraph is really focusing on the benefits that someone gains by reading, reciting, preaching, transcribing the Lotus Sutra. And I think it's helpful for us to hear these benefits because it's very easy, I think, even in the beginning, but probably throughout the practice, it's easy to look at the things that are that we're not supposed to do. So like the things that we give up, like, okay, eating meat, intoxication, all sorts of, pursuing wealth without concern for other people. Like it's easy to focus on those negatives. They can initially look like a negative and it can feel like, it's all discipline. But highlighting the fruits of practice is like another means of motivation. So we can be mindful of the consequences of like breaking precepts, acting with greed or unchecked craving and desire, and the sort of the sufferings that come from that. But we can also be mindful of the benefits that come from right practice. And that's, I think eventually that becomes more of a drive for most people in the practice is noticing the fruits of it. And then there's another idea in there where, a person who upholds the Lotus Sutra, if they hear a single verse, and I'm imagining that it's like in another lifetime they hear a verse, because if they already know the Lotus Sutra and understand the whole thing, it seems like, well, of course they would understand a single verse, but this idea that from a single verse they could expound for great periods of time without being concerned about saying something in the exact same way, but that because they deeply understand the law, they can say it in 1,000 different ways based upon what people need to hear, and they never make a mistake because they understand and grasp the principle. They're not attached to a particular form, like one way of expressing the law, but they can express it dynamically in all of these different ways. Those are the things that really stuck in my mind. I would look back and see the other things that maybe would jog my memory, but those were the parts that I can recall without having the text.
Yeah, I remember that when it was my freshman year in college, I think 1986, my school, I don't know whether you're familiar with, Penn State University, like William, they have many campuses. So I went to that local campus and they have the play and they set up the big Buddha statue. It's like the one that we have here on the stage. And they have that play. I just remember that part because during that time I decided the Lotus Sutra in Vietnamese too. And they have the play that they yell at each other, "Get out the fire house, get out the fire house." I forgot the content of that place, but I remember that they brought the whole Buddha statue on the stage.
Wow.
It's like the one that we have here at the temple. I'm so surprised that how could they bring that big statue and they have that play. I forgot the title, and it's so surprised for me. That's my freshman year,
It's,
1986. Yeah, I remember that.
oh, wow, that was the year I was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how could they play that at that time. At that time, probably because my English skill is still limited, so I could not remember all. So I just remember how they yelled, "Oh, would I say get out the firehouse? Get out the firehouse! Or burning house? Sorry, the burning house." Yeah. so
It's,
so they play probably they play they made that play by using the Lotus Sutra scripts here. Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like the third chapter.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about that. I forgot to mention.
That's the one I'm currently working on. Yeah, about the rich man who has the house that bursts into flames. Yeah.
The flaming house, the burning house. And I'm so surprised that they make that play at all. And like you say, probably they were Buddhists, or they read this sutra before. And I think for the one who wrote that that scripts, they would know the meanings of that burning house chapter, right? Yeah. So anyway, I just want to share with you then. Okay, let's move on here. Yeah. Oh, so go ahead, thầy giáo pháp. You finish all here. Oh, I see. You done this one. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, this is sorry. This is the last one.
As a purity of the mental faculty of this upholder of the Lotus Sutra, though they have not yet obtained the freedom from outflow, before that they will manifest the mark described here. While those persons uphold this sutra, they will dwell safely on the rare ground by all living beings, delight in love, respect, able to employ 1,000, 10,000 variety of and skillful word to make distinction, expound, and rich, because they uphold the Lotus Sutra. So basically, in here, it's the one who have the pure mind, right? Even though the mental faculty here is very pure, and they have not yet reached the freedom of outflow, that means the four state, the state of Arhat state, but they be able to have the wonderful mark that they be able to safely and speak the Dharma in very skillful word, and they give the experiment mean to help others to understand the Dharma profoundly, and this is also a part of it too. So whoever listen to them, they will enjoy the teaching.
Yeah, tell me, William, you pay attention when you go to Target or Home Depot, they have some Buddha statue, right? They make by, I don't know, is that not ceramic? What this kind of plastic, right?
Resin.
Oh, what's that?
Sometimes resin.
Yeah, resin. Yeah. And even many American people, they may not know much about Buddhism, but they love to keep the Buddha statue at home. You have that kind of curiosity about why they want to keep the Buddha statue at home, even they're not Buddhists.
Oh yeah, I think I've just thought that it's peaceful. It represents this idea of kind of peace and yeah, just being at one with things. But that is interesting. Yeah, that the symbol resonates with people who don't have any conscious knowledge or very little.
Tell me, you see some Buddha statue at Target, right? You see that before?
Well, I don't really go shopping a whole lot. Usually I just kind of order my stuff in, but I did notice, I was surprised when I went to Whole Foods, the grocery store, or organic grocery store, Whole Foods. They at one of their locations, they have the Happy Buddha statue. right in the front when you walk in the door, and that surprised me. I was really surprised about that. And then during this past meditation retreat, it was cool. Elizabeth's mom, I don't know her name, but Elizabeth's mom, she had the molds where everybody can make their own Buddha statue. That was really, really cool. And when we first started making those, everybody was gathered around wanting to make one. It was really neat.
Okay, we have some. We still, it's free. If you want to get one, you're free to get one. Yeah, we can use that prototypes to print, right, William? We talked this morning, right? You say 34 hours for you to print that Buddha statue?
36.
36 hours, wow.
With this printer. You could probably get a faster printer.
Oh,
if you wanted.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm happy to donate one of these to the temple.
You mind to share? You mind to share with us?
Oh, show it again? Yeah.
Tammy, you know what I'm talking about?
Did he make one with a 3D printer? Is that what you're all saying? Cool.
Yeah. Oh, this is hours.
36 hours. Wow.
Yeah. This is the resin, right, William?
It's PLA is the type of plastic.
Type plastic.
Yeah. It's
so how much is that? How much for material is to print?
If you buy one at a time, if you don't buy it in bulk, the amount to make like 3 or 4 of these costs about $20.
Okay, not cheap then.
Yeah.
This is pretty light.
Yeah, it's pretty light. If you bought maybe 10 of the rolls to make it, you could probably get it for $15 or $12 if you buy it in bulk. So if you were planning to make a bunch of them, you could probably get the price down to like $2 or $3 a statue.
Oh, wow.
And then I have a Kuan Yin too.
Oh, wow. How long did it print for you?
This one was probably a day.
Oh, really? 24 hours?
Yeah, probably right about that. Maybe a little bit less.
But when you say you printed, what does that mean?
3D printing.
Really?
Yeah, 3D printer. You know that? That's 3D.
It's got
3D printer make the Buddha status?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's got a base that can move forward or back, and then it's got the extruder that pushes the plastic out. It moves side to side. So those two, and then it also can move up and down. So those two combinations, it can build something the size I have. This is about the max height that I can build online. I can maybe go a teeny bit higher, but that's about the top.
You see, David, you like it, David? You like how the William to print out the Buddha? You like it? Yeah.
But how much that cost for the printer?
I got it for $200.
Oh my goodness, only $200?
Yeah. I found the same one online. I gave the link to Tay, and it was $165 on a different website, but there may have been shipping involved. Through Amazon, I didn't have to pay for shipping.
Oh, you go to the Google. What do you type in to see on the 3D printer?
Well, this one is from the Ender 3. Ender, like end, but then ER, Ender 3.
Ender 3.
And Tamsin was asking where I found them. I found them on Creality Cloud. Creality.
You can put on the chat right here.
Creality Cloud.
Oh no. Can you share on the screen? Let's see what when you go to the Google where you find.
Oh, you can type on the chat. That's okay.
Okay. Share. You just do it in the chat or share on the screen.
It's up to you. That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I can share.
Give him the whole co-host.
So.
And the 3D printer. Wow.
Creality.
Come on.
Yeah, so this is the one I have. It's probably the best, cheapest one that you can get. And then there's a bunch of free a bunch of free images that you can print by going to this, and you can search for models there. You could look like Buddha and then model. This one's kind of funny.
But can you be able to pick your own Buddha without going here?
Well, you would need a 3D scanner. 3D scanners are much more expensive than 3D printers. A 3D scanner costs like, it starts about $500, but the good ones are like 1,000 or 1,500. So whatever you wanted to print, you would just scan it with this camera scanner device, and then it would upload it into the computer, and then you could size it however you wanted and print it.
Technology, the technology.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen 3D printer at my school a few years ago. I didn't pay attention much. Yeah, at IUS and at University of Houston. Yeah, and actually they print the prototype for our temple. Before we build this temple, William, I asked one gentleman who worked in the lab. He print out that prototypes of that temple.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so that people, I mean, that the Buddhist people could see, and now we have to do temple here. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that printing Buddha statue. Yeah. Cô Thông Nguyễn, in Netherlands, many of them keep the Buddha statue at home, even they're not Buddhist.
Yes, they keep a lot at the front of the house in the window, because the Dutch culture is that every house has a very big window so that everyone can look at their home. And then they put the Buddha statue up front or in the garden. Like William said, is the symbol, the Buddha for them is symbol of peaceful mind. And most of the time, they want to have good vibration in their home. That's all.
Sometimes they put on their sidewalk too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they put around the shell and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay. So Thông Thiền, you can print out the statue that in the back of your virtual background there, right? That is from I think Hong Kong, right? That Hong Kong Buddha statue, right? Thông Thiền.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I will get one. I get the 3D printers. Yeah.
I'll send one to the temple when we're done today. I'll order one and have it shipped to Louisville.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Yeah, because usually when we have big celebration, that pass out the Buddha statue or some religious object, so that I want to do more for the people instead of buying them. It is expensive buying them. Yeah, it is better for us to do here.
This is a gift time.
Oh, that's good. That's good idea then. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on to the next chapter. Sorry. Yeah, Thông Thiền, please. This very interesting chapter. Bodhisattva never separating, right? Separation. Go ahead, Thông Thiền, please.
Yeah, more for that. At that time, the Buddha said to the Bodhisattva and Mahasava, gainer of great authority, you should understand this. When monks, nuns, laymen, or laywomen uphold the Lotus Sutra, if anyone should speak ill of them, curse or slander them, he will suffer severe repentance for his crimes, as I have explained earlier. And I have also explained earlier the benefit gained by those who uphold the sutra, namely purification of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Gainer a great authority long ago and immeasurable, boundless, inconceivable number of Asamkaya kalpas in the past. There was a Buddha named Awesome Sound King Das Come One, worthy of offerings of right and universal knowledge, perfect purity and conduct, well gone understanding the word, unexcelled trainer of people, teacher of heavenly and human beings, Buddha, word on the one, his kalpa was called exempt from decay, and his land was called the Great Achievement. Yeah, I'm off so the Buddha spoke to this Bodhisattva named Gana of great authority. So whenever the monks, nun, layman, or laywoman, whenever they uphold this sutra, if they speak ill will of them, curse or slander them, they will suffer severe recompense for their crime. I think spending time in hell for this crime they do. He also mentioned that whoever uphold the sutra, they will have the eyes, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and body and mind as pure. And he also mentioned about this awesome sound king that someone. This is what he will talk about, this Buddha. Yeah, more about that.
You understand why somehow this sutra if someone slander occurs, the one that decide this sutra, they may have some type of severe illnesses or retribution. Why is that?
Because
that scare people. What do you think?
Yeah, Mopa, only the person who hold the 5 precept or the monks and nun precept or other precept, those who slander, curse, or speak ill of them, they will suffer because the Lotus Sutra is the right sutra. They speak about the law that help people to be free from suffering and help them to get on the right path. If someone speak bad thing about this sutra, they are likely to spend to pay for the crime.
Yeah, Cô Thông Nguyễn, what do you think about this? Is that scare people? In that idea, what do you think?
No, I think it's like acts and reactions. So in the period chapter, we learned that beings or people recite the Lotus Sutra, they will purify their own mind. And so when other people who do not know this and sending some negative vibration, then they get the reflection like the mirror. It reflects the light back to the other. I think this teaches us to be more aware about what we think or what we say about the other, because we never know, we don't know.
So William, what do you think when some non-Buddhist people, they read this passage and say, well, if you praise this sutra, you get more blessing. If you desperate or if you curse other people who recite Pati Sutra, you read the bad karma. Why? So this is scare people away, or what do you think?
I would say sort of what I would think if I'm thinking from like a cynical outsider view, I would say it's a way to get people to believe in it, because if you believe in it, you get all these benefits. And it's a way to keep people from causing trouble to someone who believes in it, because if you cause them trouble, you have all these consequences. And then you combine it with some of the other stuff in the Lotus Sutra. It's like the benefits of giving to the monks and the nuns and the Buddha, and to support the Buddha way. Well, then that's also a means to make sure that they have support for their practice as well. So it could have a very just functional a functional effect of that teaching. And so, but I do there's more subtle meanings as well, and kind of energetic ramifications, like I gotta work on names. Tan Nguyen, like she said as well.
Mm-hmm. Is that similar in the way that right, Tammy? In a similar way that people say, oh, if you believe in God, you go to hell, to heaven. If you don't believe, you go down to the hell. Is that similar? What do you think? Is constructed in a similar way? What do you think?
I think it's different.
I think it's different because
you're okay.
Because you're talking about
Mama, I want to
other people.
Mama, I want to look at you. I pee. Mama, look.
Yeah, I'll wash it. Okay. So with going to heaven or hell with God, you're concerned about yourself, and you're not really paying attention to cause and effect. You're just, okay, I'm better than this person. You know, as long as you're better than the most people, your behaviors are better than a lot of people, then you're good. But with the way this reads, it's talking about where I don't think it would scare people, put fear into them if they were non-believers, because they wouldn't believe what the sutra was saying anyways. They would just be like, oh, that's more nonsense, like it's not true. Where hold on, I'm almost done. Where it's actually true, because the sutras have the protection, and they're protecting the beings that are reading them and reciting them, and they have their own protectors. So of course, if people are going to be negative against the sutras, then negative things are going to happen, and then you got to go back to cause and effect. So even if you're being negative towards people that don't read sutras, if you're just being negative in general and wishing and putting bad stuff out there, then of course it's going to reflect back on you.
Thank you. Yeah, about Mr. Nguyen, what do you think? Is in a similar way, a different expression?
I think it's different, because on the other side is if you follow, you go to heaven, and then if not, go to hell. Is like the punishment. But in here in the Lotus Sutra, it's more like a teaching, a guidance. So at the beginning, there was, in the Lotus Sutra also mentioned, there was already a lot of people left. They don't believe in the Lotus Sutra. And then there was people who truly practice Dharma, they stay, and therefore the Buddha explained the benefits of practice the sutra. Also, he also showed the benefit of why we should practice, and to be able to become better in Bodhisattva path, to save other sentient beings. And if when other beings who do not know or understand these actions or thought or the Bodhisattva work, and try to bring negative toward this people who practice, they will get karma. It's like, just for example, I work in the company in engineering, and if I just a new hire, I just come, I don't know anything, I start yelling at my the head of the department, for sure they will kick me out. So because I don't understand anything, how come that yeah, I should spend time to learn instead of make bad judgment about other colleagues who work there longer, who understand more and know how to solve the problem. So the same in this way, the Buddha, this sutra already give yeah, for yeah, new people that we should not underestimate or overlook all these teachings.
Yeah, how about Thang Thiền? What do you think?
Yeah, about something that the gods say that we should, if you believe in God, you go to heaven, or if you're not, you go to hell.
It's a similar way the Buddha is explained here in this sutra. Is it similar or different?
It's different. If someone who lead people to the wrong path, if they teach them or say something that make people believe in them, they could lead them to the wrong path. So the person who lead this person to the wrong path is the one that pay the heavy karma. But the one that follow this person will receive the less karma. Just to be careful about who you should follow.
Yeah, your path.
Yeah, more I think it's the one you believe in God, you go to heaven, or otherwise you go to hell. That means you force them to follow you. That is no free will, right? So basically, it's there is no in between or nothing, right? This is similar to the one of the cognitive distortion that we learn from depression. So, but in the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha said that he just give you the guidance. If it's up to you that you follow his teaching or not. It's not. If you don't follow him, but you should not question him. Just like the Doctor Immortal, right? He do the water experiment. When we say good thing to the water, you see the beautiful crystal molecule of the water is changing. But when we say bad thing to the water, of course, automatically we change the form of the water molecule into the very bad form. So that due to our action. But if we don't say anything, we don't have to follow them. That means it's okay. You don't create any offensive, and you don't have any karma. But that means it's your choice, your free will. That is the good thing about Buddha teaching. So yeah, so they are totally different.
Yeah. William, you like to say anything about this?
No. No, thank you, Tay.
All right, good. Okay, so let us end today then. Yeah, go ahead, Thang Thiền, please.
Yeah. Namaste Sakamuni Buddha, Namaste Sakamuni Buddha, Namaste Sakamuni Buddha.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.